Hey, Michael, Paul Condiff here. As your surveyor and you suspected, the engine was misaligned. As a matter of fact, it was badly misaligned. As you can see, in this illustration, this is in the Chris-Craft manual. The shaft the angle of the shaft is pretty well set by the strut angle and the angle in the shaft log. And the shaft shouldn't touch the inside of the shaft log. When it does touch the inside of the shaft log, this can occur. And this is a shaft log that is, the shaft was too low as a result of an engine mount breaking. But anyway, the shaft was too low, and it eventually wore you can see where it wore away the inside of the housing of the shaft log and wore a slot in it. That eventually sunk the boat. So what we found was that the back of the engine was way low, and the bottom of the shaft was riding either on wood. It could be on the wood on the keel, or it could have been riding on the inside of the shaft log, much like this. We don't know yet because we haven't taken it apart. This is not your shaft log. But when we took the coupling apart, the shaft sprung up, and quite, almost violently, the shaft sprung up. So this shaft was bent, in a bent position. And then, of course, this engine had been rotating in a bent position. And if you've ever taken a paper clip in a boring meeting and wiggled it back and forth, you know that you can work hard in a paper clip. And that same concept, and it'll break, and that same concept is true of the shaft. So this shaft, we really don't know the condition of the shaft. We just know that there's a possibility the shaft is compromised, ready to break. It might last 10 years. It might last 10 minutes. We don't know. But we know it was misaligned really badly. Okay, so, just looking at it, one would think that the front of the engine was just too high, and that was the problem, because it was touching the inside of the engine hatch. The exhaust manifold is touching the inside of the engine hatch. But the problem was way worse. So what we have done is we have lowered this side of the engine to where it just doesn't touch the lid anymore, and we raised this side of the engine to where it doesn't touch the lid anymore. And we really need to lower the back of the engine some more, or raise the front some more, but we can't raise the front anymore. So the only adjustment we got left now is lower the back. But when we lower the back, our shaft is ending up hitting either the shaft log or the wood in the keel. So so basically, if it's to get the faces of the couplings parallel, we have to lower the back. If we lower the back, we push the shaft down into the log or the wood. We also, so at the 12 o'clock position, we can get an 18 thousandths feeler gauge in. At the 9 o'clock, we can get the 18 thousandths in. At the 6 o'clock, we can't get the feeler gauge to go in at all. And on the other side, we can't get the feeler gauge to go in at all on the other side, on the right-hand side. So we can move it, we need to move the engine over to the starboard side a little bit, and that should close this coupling on this side, make the side to side equal, but we still are tight at the bottom, and we don't think we can lower any. Well, we may be able to lower once we move the shaft over, but it is really tight. We have room on the engine mounts for adjustment, but we're being bound. The adjustment is being bound by the shaft hitting something down here and not being able to turn the prop anymore when we bind it, when it gets bound. It is probably I do think we have just a room for a little more movement. As you can see, oh, hang on, you can't see it yet, but you will be able to see it here in just a second. So our shaft is not centered in the keel, so it needs to move to the right. As you can see, we're up pretty tight against the hole in the keel there, and we've got quite a bit of room on this side. And if we move the shaft over, we should be able to lower the shaft more in the back. But we're really close to not being able to make that adjustment. So that was that's my only comment, is that we hope we can, but we're not sure we can get the adjustment we need. But that's where we are so far. We're going to attack it this afternoon, and if we aren't able to do it, if we're not able to get the adjustment we need, then we'll have to pull the shaft. We'll pull the prop, pull the shaft, and then move the. We may have to drill out the hole a little bit, and we may in the keel, this hole right here. May have to hog it out a little bit, and then we may also have to move the shaft log on the inside. May have to relocate it ever so slightly. So that's where we are on it. There would be another method of making this where this could be aligned, and that would be just raising the front of the engine and probably raising the back as well. But that would take a change of exhaust manifolds. There is an exhaust manifold I'll show you in a catalog where the exhaust manifold comes straight back at the level of the exhaust in the head, and then you just put a small elbow on the back of it, and it basically comes straight back, as opposed to having this riser. So the risers are intended that if you stop your boat suddenly and water washes in, you have your wave that follows you, and that wave comes in your exhaust, that it has to go up higher, and so therefore it's less likely to get all the way into your engine through the exhaust valves. So, and of course that would only go into the exhaust valves in the situation of you stop the engine and that wave rolls, or the engine stops on you, and the wave rolls in. So so I just assume keep the risers. They must have put them in here for some reason. I'm assuming they did, and I really don't want to have to go through the process of checking that. So I think we're going to be able to get it, but I just wanted to give you an update on it. We also found some other issues. Your blower hose only came down to the blower, and so we've added the black blower hose. Gasoline fumes are heavier than air, so they're going to accumulate in the bottom of your boat. So we need to pull the air out of the bottom of your boat and where the gas fumes would accumulate. So we've added that. We've added this black hose right here. We also have another issue we need to take care of, and that is that these transmission cooling hoses right here. This is your transmission cooler, and here's your water. It's going to come from the bottom of the boat. It goes through your transmission cooler. These are the oil lines for the transmission cooler, and you'll see this one is pinched off. So you're probably not getting any oil flow, and that hose is damaged as well. So we're going to have to we'll put an elbow on here and get a new end put on your hose, and then you'll be in business there. So anyway, I just want to give you an update, and if you're interested in different exhaust manifolds, let me know. But there's probably something else that will bind, more than likely. So, all right. Thank you very much for listening.